Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Queensland, and good morning from Mossman Gorge. So it's wonderful to be here today with my Far North Queensland team, and looking forward to speaking with the people who work in this wonderful centre, and especially do a fantastic Dreamtime walk and making sure that people understand culture and the land. This is exactly what we need to see, more tourism experiences like this across Queensland. So in some good news, I can make a couple of announcements today. These will be released in the budget, but I thought we'd do a bit of a sneak preview, especially for the Far North Queensland listeners. So first of all, my government is announcing a $4 million First Nations tourism package. Now this is fantastic. What we want to do in the lead up to the Olympics is start to grow our First Nations tourism experience across the state. So if you're out there and you've got a small company or you've got an idea, we are going to help build that capacity so you can grow and employ more people and really be ready for in 10 years' time when we see people come from all around the world and want to experience everything that Queensland has to offer. This morning I also had the great privilege of meeting some of our land and sea rangers, our First Nations rangers, talking to me about the work that they do. And one young man said to me in particular, he said, "Premier, I have the best job in the world." And that's what I want to see. I want to see our young people out there working in areas that they're passionate about, and for them to say that they have the best job in the world, there's going to be even more opportunities for people to experience this as well. And that's why I'm also pleased to announce today a further $10 million, and that is going to be for our Reef Assist program. And that's great news as well, because we want to see an extra 225 people employed right across the north of our state, the north right up to the far north. And this is about giving young people an opportunity to experience helping with whether it's water quality coming out into our catchments, whether it's looking at crown of thorns on the reef or other experiences, revegetation of certain areas. This is a great program, and it's worked so successfully that we're now providing this additional funding, so an additional $10 million. And in total, the investment will be 12.28, so that is fantastic news. So this week, of course, is Reconciliation Week, and it's wonderful to be meeting with our rangers today, but also my ministers have been out and about. I know the Treasurer was just recently up in Cook with Cynthia Lui, up in Cowan, with Cynthia Lui, the local member, and Yvette Dove's here. I know that she's the ministerial champion for Mossman as well. So, and of course, our Minister Craig Crawford for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Affairs. And I know Craig has been absolutely passionate about the area that he loves. And tonight, of course, we will have the Reconciliation Awards here in Cairns. So I'm going to be very honoured to be there tonight to present those awards. So I'll hand over to Minister Crawford to say a few words. And we've got Michael and Cynthia, and then we're happy to take questions after we talk about these programs. Thank you. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Premier. Good morning, Craig Crawford, Minister for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnerships, and one of the local members of the Far North Queensland team. As we move towards the 2032 Olympics, as we move towards the now national voice work that the Prime Minister has announced, and as we move, importantly, towards Queensland's path to treaty, all of the announcements that the Premier has just made today will feed very strongly into this. We know that there is an abundance of untapped tourism opportunity here in this state around Indigenous tourism opportunities, and we know that the travelling public is really ripe for the picking and want to be able to experience this. Real experiences with real First Nations leaders, with guides, with rangers out there all across country. So I couldn't think of a better time here in Reconciliation Week to make this announcement. I look very forward to working with our First Nations leaders all across this amazing state as we go forward over the next decade. Thank you, Premier.
Thank you, Premier. So here in Far North Queensland, we have around half of the 200 Indigenous businesses here in the state. It is absolutely wonderful to be here with the Premier today for this amazing announcement. We've got potential in Cook. We've got industries that we need to build. Given that this is Reconciliation Week and we are a decade away from the 2032 Olympics, and the announcement around building tourism businesses, I think, is about building upon two of the world's oldest living cultures right here in Queensland. And not only that, it is about the cultural experience and it is about the cultural leadership that we need to continue building upon as we move towards Path to Treaty. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Premier, always good to have you here. Minister, always good to have you. And for those of you not from these beautiful parts, a very warm welcome. I also just want to echo the comments of my colleagues. The announcements by the Premier today are absolutely fundamental to our tourism industry, but also to the broader community, our Indigenous community. As Cynthia just touched on, we have 200 statewide products. 50% of them are here in the north. Obviously, we would favour it here, but we're encouraging everybody around the state to jump on board of this fantastic opportunity. We're seeing as we recover, and we're working very hard to ensure that recovery is done as efficiently as it can. We're seeing more people. You've only got to look at the people that are here today, the amount of businesses that are starting to get busy. We're seeing more tourists coming back. Our domestic numbers are very, very strong. Tourism is a fundamental pillar of our economy, and this investment goes to prove that not only are we expanding and we're recovering, but we're expanding the opportunities to the broader sectors of our community. This is a fantastic announcement. We've got some great things, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the budget too, Premier. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, we're in the beautiful Daintree, and you know, it's made me really think that as the leader of this state, and I know my colleagues would also agree, that now is the time that we should think about expanding our national parks estate. We've had some small programs in the past to look at purchasing land adjacent to some of our World Heritage areas or that have high conservation value. But it's something that we're going to give some serious consideration to, especially in the lead up to our budget as well. I mean, Queensland is a beautiful place, it's got pristine environment, and I want people from all around the world, especially between now and the Olympics coming here, to experience what far north Queensland has. And just back to that $10 million I announced too, can I just also mention that this will be for the reef catchments of Cape York, Wet Tropics, Burdekin Dry Tropics, Mackay Whitsunday, Fitzroy and Burnett. And the tenders will open for that in July. So happy to take some questions.
With this $10 million, how many jobs is it expected to create across those regions?
Yeah, around 225, which is fantastic.
Where will people that get these jobs live when our rental vacancies are so low at the moment?
Well, usually they're people in local communities at the moment. So it's people that are living here at the moment that would think, oh, I might like to be a ranger. So it's about giving them opportunities to partake in these courses, and that they may end up being sea and land rangers. And having met those rangers today, honestly, the smiles on their faces, and I think I found a future Olympic sportsman there as well. So I think I did some scouting today as well.
And this $4 million package
Yes.
towards First Nations tourism, how important is that to the sector given what's happened over the past 2 years?
Oh yeah, and can I also mention too, it was a great honour for us to also catch up with Advance Cairns yesterday, and they told us that their tourism numbers are coming back. I know they're looking at increasing the market of Japanese tourists returning into Cairns as well. But this is absolutely critical. There are so many beautiful experiences to be had in Queensland, and what we want to do is, with that $4 million, is build the capacity. So it's to actually, you know, have a business program to sit down and work with local people about how they can either A, establish a new company, or B, how they can expand their company.
Premier, a few questions from the Brisbane office.
Okay, just first of all, anything else about...
Can you just talk me through how the $4 million will be, how that program will actually work?
Yeah, so the $4 million is essentially, they will have some key mentors that are employed by the department. Then they will call for expressions of interest for businesses that would like to partake in this, and then they will be able to sit down and work what are the skills and training and the needs of that company to expand into the future.
The Treaty Advancement Committee handed down its report to the government in October. Can you tell us why the government hasn't released that report yet or made its response to its recommendation?
Yeah, well, the response, the invitations are about to go out. We've been planning this for several months. We wanted to get it exactly right, and I know that the Minister has been working on this, and we have a date, and everyone will be hearing a lot more about that very shortly.
Dr. Jackie Huggins has told the ABC she's quite disappointed with the government about the delay. What's your response to
I've
that?
asked someone from my office to contact Jackie about that.
Is 7 months an appropriate amount of time for something?
We have to get it right, and I'm looking forward to the announcement.
How many people are in well camp at the moment?
I don't have those figures, but let me say this. Constitutional responsibility, federal government. Scott Morrison failed to act, and we now have a dedicated quarantine facility for whatever may happen in the future. There's also one in Victoria. There's also one in Western Australia. There's one in the Northern Territory. And Queensland should have one as well. And I hope the new Prime Minister will accept that quarantine is a federal government responsibility, which I'm quite sure he will.
So what's it costing the government, this well camp facility?
Well, probably the same as it's costing Victorians, the same as it's costing West Australians, and probably the same as it's costing people in Northern Territory.
Will the state government extend the well camp contract once it expires?
We'll look at all those issues when it comes up to that, but we are future-proofing our state, and that's exactly what we've done.
If there are so few people in it, what's the point of having it there?
Well, did anyone know that there was a pandemic coming? No. And constitutional responsibility is with the federal government, and the states stepped in.
Well camp's been flagged as...
Okay, I think we've. Go on, if you want one more question.
it was being flagged as potentially being used as housing for DV victims in the future. Will COVID restrictions be dropped to allow that to happen at some
We
point?
also offered it to people who were impacted by the Lismore floods as well. So look, there are a lot of opportunities for it to be utilised by a whole range of people, and I know that the Deputy Premier is giving all of that very serious consideration. But, you know, at the time, the people of Queensland wanted the state government to step in and to do something, and that's exactly what we did. And it is there for our future, and it's no different to other states. I know Queensland gets signalled out here, but it's actually there's quarantine facilities that have been built in other states as well, and no one really says anything about that.
And what's your thoughts on Bronwyn Dendell running for Callide?
Our candidate is a local woman, and she will work very hard, and she's in touch with her local community. And you know, it's going to be very tough for the ALP. It's not an ALP seat, of course, but we want to make sure that the people who are living in the region have the opportunity to vote for us.
So you think she's a good fit?
Yes.
Queensland families are quite concerned about power prices having gone up in the last few weeks. Is the rebate announced in the next budget enough to support them?
Yes, so we understand the cost of living pressures, and that's exactly why we acted quickly. I think we were the first state to act quickly, and that is why we announced that $175 electricity rebate, which is going to ease the cost of living pressures for families.
Is there any future opportunity for business owners to get a piece of that pie as well?
Businesses were helped out during COVID. We had a lot of measures in place, but this is to help households and families at this particular point.
Are you disappointed, Premier, that Hancock Prospecting is backed out of the Whopper Great Keppel Island?
Yeah, we were looking. Look, initially it looked to be quite favourable in terms of their interest in Great Keppel Island. Look, these are commercial decisions, and these are issues that people should ask the company. I don't speak for the company.
Do you support proposed changes to smoking laws that would see drinking banned in outdoor designated areas?
I will let the Health Minister discuss that, but any other questions for me?
I've just got one more.
Yeah.
What do you think of Jackie Tradd's recent appointment as chairperson of the Gold Coast Potter?
That's a matter for Hoda, and you know, she's a free person. She can be engaged in any board activity she wishes. She's got a lot of experience, so that's a matter for them, and the questions should be directed to them. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, just on those proposed smoking laws that would see drinking banned in outdoor smoking areas.
Well, we're not preempting any of those issues. We've put it out as a regulatory impact statement for discussion and for feedback from the community, and that's what we're hoping the community will give us that feedback. It's open till the 26th of June. And we strongly encourage people to have a say about this. We know the damage that smoking does in society. We know the significant cost that it has on the health system, and we have a responsibility to continue to try to reduce those smoking rates, also dealing with e-cigarettes and vaping. So it's an important discussion. There's a lot of work that's gone into developing this statement, ready to put out for public discussion. And as I say, I welcome the public giving their opinions on this.
Why did you put out a statement this morning rebutting David Chrysofuli's ambulance ramping claims? That was referring to stats from Monday using stats from Tuesday.
It was a photo and a social media post that David Chrysofuли put up last night saying, this is what is happening at Townsville Hospital tonight. It was completely misleading, and when the Queensland Ambulance Service needed to actually go out and put out their own post to say that that is completely false, that is concerning. You know, it is not appropriate that the Leader of the Opposition starts posting photos, making claims of ramping without knowing any of the facts whatsoever. Townsville actually had a 93% patient off stretcher time yesterday. That's extraordinary time, and I congratulate the paramedics and the hospital on how much they are working to improve the system. They're doing a fantastic job. Having a static photo of ambulance parked in an ED bay and claiming they know how long they've been there for is just appalling. And I don't want to see Queensland Ambulance Services time being taken up having to correct these statements from David Chrysofuli on social media on a regular basis. It is not the best use of their time. I want to concentrate on making sure that we're getting the ambulances where they need to be and away from our hospitals as quickly as possible. But if David Chrysofuli thinks that an ambulance doesn't park so that they can then safely transfer that patient over to the health staff, I don't know what he thinks ambulances do. So they all have to at some point pull up, park and hand over patients. Now, some of those patients can be handed over quickly, some take longer. But as far as yesterday, the entire lost time in 24 hours at Townsville's ambulance station there was 40 minutes. 40 minutes lost time over 24 hours. And yet David Chrysofuli's posting that we've got a ramping crisis at Townsville. He should apologise to the paramedics. He should apologise to the staff at the Townsville Hospital. And he should make sure that he does not continue to mislead the people of Queensland in this way.
Can you just give us an update on the free flu vaccine uptake? How's that been?
Yeah, look, I'm waiting to get the latest data because it comes off the Commonwealth Australian Immunisation Register. But in the first 5 days, we had a 14.7% increase, which was amazing. So many people came out very quickly to get that flu shot. It shows two things. People are getting the message that influenza A is dangerous and they need to be vaccinated. It also shows that the cost of the flu vaccine was a prohibiting factor for people coming out. And we know with cost of living pressures right now, we cannot afford for people, for families to make decisions about their own well-being and their safety based on whether they can afford it or not. This will mean less people coming into our EDs, less people needing to be hospitalised and keeping our community safe. So thank you, Queenslanders, for coming out and getting vaccinated. But there's more work to do. Please come out and get your flu shot. And of course, don't forget to get your COVID booster as well if you're due. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.